Alright, hi, and welcome to my channel. My name is Casey, and today I wanted to bring you guys a video all about what is your current life purpose. And the reason I say current is because I believe that as we go through life, we have many different purposes. I don't think that there's just one purpose we are meant to fulfill from the moment we are born until we die, like this one goal that we are supposed to fulfill and that's it. You've fulfilled your purpose. I don't believe in that. I believe that as we go through life, we're meant to learn different things, go through different cycles, and it's all a part of this one journey that we call life. And so your purpose when you're 3 years old is not going to be the same purpose when you're 25, you know? I believe that when we're a child, our purpose is to learn about the world, learn about those around us, cultivate friendships and relationships with our family. As we grow into, being a teenager and adulthood, it's finding ourselves, finding what our passions are and our desires. As we grow older, it's wisdom and, maintaining relationships with those around us, maybe even having kids, maybe, having children can be a purpose. And so with this reading, I'm hoping to look at where you are in your life right now. What is your current purpose? What are you meant to be doing? And so I have a few different things for what we're meant to be looking at. And the first one I'm going to be looking at is just an overall card of what is the general purpose of your current life stage. And then we're going to be looking at what are you meant to learn in this current life stage? What should you be doing that will be in alignment with this purpose? And what kind of environment will be beneficial to you being able to pursue and fulfill this purpose? So maybe you're meant to be in school, maybe you're meant to be in isolation, maybe you're meant to be out in nature. So those are the kinds of things that we're going to be looking for today. And today I have 3 different readings for you to choose from. We have pile 1, pile 2, and pile 3. So go ahead and pause, figure out which pile you feel most drawn to. I've left timestamps down in the description box below so you can quickly jump to whichever reading that you want to listen to. But without further ado, that's everything that I have to say. Go ahead and enjoy your reading. Alright, pile 1, welcome. If you chose the first reading, then this is going to be the reading for you. I want to let you know off the bat that I am feeling a little under the weather right now. I have a bit of a sinus infection, so I apologize if my energy isn't fully there, but I want you to know that this reading, no matter what, is going to be as accurate as possible. I might just be a little bit slower than usual. But your cards that you got here are actually very beautiful. So I wanted to start off with this first card, Message of Love, which talks to me about what is the general purpose of your current stage in life right now. And Message of Love just kind of makes me think that you're meant to just be enjoying the connections to those around you and also learning how to have unconditional love for yourself. Something that just came to mind right now is the color green, which has to do with the heart chakra. I don't know if you believe in chakras or do any work with chakras, but it might be worth looking into doing some research on what the heart chakra is, how to balance it, because to me personally, that chakra is all about unconditional love for those around you, for the world, and for yourself. And when it's out of balance, you might have trouble with vulnerability, trouble having that unconditional love, feeling like judgment or sadness and upsetness. And when you can balance that, when you can work through all of that, you feel this love for everything around you, love for the world, and also love for yourself. Especially the word forgiveness is coming to me for some reason. So I feel like in this chapter of your life, you're meant to be strengthening the bonds that you have with those around you, with the relationships that really matter to you, and especially the love that you have for yourself. I think stepping into a confidence of really believing in yourself, believing in what you want, not putting down your goals or your desires, really trusting that you desire certain things because they have a purpose in them, and allowing yourself to pursue them freely because you're letting yourself love what you want. You're not pushing away desires because, oh, it's selfish or, those things don't matter. It's all about you allowing yourself to enjoy the things that you love. That's kind of the overarching message here of what you should be focusing on. Which seems kind of simple, just follow your love as a compass. But when you get down to it, a lot of the times I feel as human beings, especially ego-driven beings, we can kind of push aside or ignore the things that we love because you don't have time to focus on it. You have to focus on other things, or maybe you don't want to be vulnerable and open, and it can be very tough to have that childlike innocence to just charge towards what you love. But that's what you're trying to relearn here. So that's what I see for kind of the overarching purpose. But to get into it a little bit more, we have some specifics here. So starting off on the left, we're looking at what are you meant to learn? And with your cards here, we have Intuition and the Knight of Swords reversed. And what I think that you're meant to learn is how to be better in tune with your intuition. You might have a natural knack or gift when it comes to intuition. I do believe that everybody has intuition to a certain extent, but there are those of us that are more naturally in tune with it. So maybe you have something like clairvoyance or claircognizance. Maybe you've been thinking about dabbling into divination like tarot or rune casting or reading tea leaves or something. Or even if you're not using an external tool like cards or something, in general, I think you're beginning to become more in tune with your intuition. And that's a big thing that you're meant to be learning, is how to trust it, knowing how to feel it. Intuition is a very hard thing to describe because it's very personal to each person. There's no one way to feel your intuition. It's just kind of like when your mind and your body and your soul feels a specific way about something and just kind of knows that that thing is true, knows that a certain thing is right for you, or in the opposite, knows that a certain direction is the wrong thing for you. And I feel like you're going to be developing your internal compass here and even slowing down a little bit. I feel like in the past, you've been one to charge off in a certain direction before thoroughly thinking it through, or maybe you've charged off in certain directions because people told you that was the right direction to go in. And now in this stage of your life, you're learning how to slow down and really sit with your intuition and feel, does this direction feel right to me? Does it feel wrong? And when you have that fully developed, you will be able to navigate your life and navigate your path and your purpose so much better because it will be in tune with your internal compass. So I think the biggest thing that you're meant to be learning is how to trust your intuition. Get a little bit in tune with it. Figure out what works for you. Some people like using pendulums, as like a yes or no kind of thing. And to me, a pendulum, at least for me personally, isn't really connecting to an outside source so much as it's just a way for you to connect to your own internal compass and just kind of see it physically because it's hard to listen to it. Think of it like a hearing aid. It's boosting your intuition. You see it right in front of you and you know, okay, that's true or that's false. So that's kind of just what you're meant to be learning right now. What you should be doing that'll be in alignment with this purpose. You have Caution and the Hierophant reversed. And I feel like you're really meant to be independent at this point in time, especially concerning your own belief systems. I think that you are meant to be going on, quote unquote, spiritual journey of finding yourself, finding what you truly believe in. And especially in general, the Hierophant card kind of has to do with tradition and things like that. And for you, it reminds me of the Lover's card. The Lover's card deals with a choice between going with what was predestined for you, what you were told to go after, versus deciding to go after what you desire. So you're bridging that direction. And for you, I feel like you're bridging off of what you were raised with. Maybe you were raised with certain religious beliefs. Maybe you were raised with certain beliefs about what the world should look like, what your life should look like, and it's time for you to kind of alter from that path and go in this other direction. And with the Caution card, I feel like there's this kind of warning here of follow what direction you feel like your heart wants to go in. Because I feel like your heart is kind of like yelling, like it wants to chase after your desires, it wants to go in this opposite direction, but your mind has this fear of judgment that's like, well, what if we just stay on the safe path? What if we stay on the path that everybody else says that we should go down? And there's this caution here to not continue to stay with what is traditional, not stay with what everybody else wants for you, because your heart wants something different. And if you continue to stay with what everybody else wants from you, you're never going to grow, you're never going to be free. And it's like having a baby bird in a nest. You're meant to fly and be free and find your own way, find your own path and your own ideals, and not just stay in this nest forever where you won't be able to grow. So I feel like this goes hand in hand with intuition here. You're meant to learn to listen to your own intuition, listen to your own heart, and figure out which path and which direction is really meant for you. You're no longer meant to just stay in the comfort and security of what everybody else wants for you. And finally, with the Frustration card and the Knight of Wands, we have what kind of environment will be most beneficial to you fulfilling this purpose. And so frustration, I saw this and I was like, why would a frustrated environment be beneficial to someone? But I feel like you're being asked to be outside your comfort zone. I feel like when you are frustrated or when you're uncomfortable, that's when you put in the most work to find out what direction you want to go in, what makes you comfortable. That's when you're kind of pushed to change the way that you do things. That's when you're pushed to grow, when you are most uncomfortable. Because when people sit in comfort, when you sit in that nest that was made for you as a baby bird, and you're comfortable there, you're never going to want to leave the nest. You're never going to grow. You're never going to test yourself and see just how much you have to accomplish. And I feel with the Knight of Wands card, this card is all about having this passion and drive within you that wants to be explored. There's a part of you that wants to seize your desires and go out there and pursue certain things. But in order to do that, you're going to have to put yourself in uncomfortable situations. So what I see is if you are feeling frustrated in your current environment, or if you're feeling uncomfortable in certain situations, you're feeling that for a reason. You're feeling that because it's testing you and it's trying to make you grow and change in a certain way. It's pushing you to get yourself out of that box. And it's like you see with the frustration card, this person's trying to put a square peg in a circle hole. And it's like you could keep trying to like ram against this hole trying to get through, but if it's not working, maybe it's because you're meant to go in a different direction. So you're really being challenged in this current stage in your life to do things differently. Trust your intuition and trust in yourself that there's a reason that you want to go in a separate direction. And I feel like with your overarching card from the beginning, message of love, this is all happening so that you can develop yourself to a higher state of being. I think that you are meant to grow and change and evolve in order to be more loving, more open, but in order to do that, you also have to be more mature. And I feel like children love very freely. You know, when you think of your inner child, they gave their love to everyone, but then as you grow up, you become hardened and cold, and you start having a hard time with vulnerability. And it's kind of like you're trying to break out of that by becoming wiser and smarter to the point where you can have that vulnerability again. You can learn to love, but not with that kind of like openness of a child per se, but with the wisdom to know who to give it to. I hope that makes sense. It's kind of like the difference between the Fool card and the World card, if you know anything about tarot. The Fool card, being the very first major arcana card, is all about this like childlike innocence, this freedom, and the World card has that freedom. The World card is floating above the world. It's naked and bare to the world like a child. But the World card has been through everything before. The World card has the wisdom and the knowledge to know how to properly use that carefreeness. And so for you, I feel like it's time for you to connect back to your inner child, connect back to that carefreeness, but not have that kind of naivete that a child would have. You have the wisdom now. You just need to learn how to connect back to that vulnerability while simultaneously having that wisdom. So I hope that makes sense. I know that was a bit of a turn into like the tarot card meanings. You might not know a lot about tarot. And I apologize if my voice sounds weird. Like I said, I am a bit sick right now. But that is everything that I have for you. I really hope that your reading made sense. I do see a really beautiful journey for you, but I see that, you know, it's meant to test you. But I think all these challenges that you're going to go through, this uncomfortableness and this frustration, it's nothing that you can't handle. You are being given the upper limit of just as much as you can handle so that you can break free and continue to evolve. And I think that it's, in the end, it's going to be a very beautiful journey for you. So I hope you enjoyed your reading. If you want any more like this, if you enjoy what I do, feel just free to subscribe and stick around because I do post about twice a week. And if you want a reading about your specific situation, I do offer personal readings. There's a link down in the description box below to my shop. But that's everything that I have for you. Thank you so much for watching Pile 1. Bye-bye. Alright, Pile 2. I just want to start off by saying that I am kind of sick right now, so I hope that you'll bear with me if I'm talking a little bit slower or if I feel a little bit all over the place. I can tell that your reading is going to be very accurate, so I don't want you to worry about the accuracy as much as how well I convey it to you, because I am a bit under the weather. So starting off with this card right here, this card is going to be all about what is kind of the overall general purpose of your current life stage right now. And what I have for you here is message of warning, number 33. And First of all, number 33 is a master number. I encourage you to look that up. But that number is kind of all about like spiritually up-leveling yourself, spiritually evolving and mastering whatever kind of cycle that you're in right now. Or at least that's my kind of personal belief about what that number is. But with message of warning here, that kind of confused me because like, why is it that your current purpose, there's something with a warning here? But what that says to me is I feel like up until this point in your life, you have been in kind of you've been in an environment that hasn't been able to let you grow. It's like, I'm imagining like, I've been using this analogy a lot lately, but it's like a nest. Imagine you're like a baby bird raised in a nest, but this nest was made out of thorns. It was made out of like barbed wire. And so you weren't able to grow to your full potential because everything around you has been so hostile in your environment. And with message of warning, it's like you need to open your eyes to those around you and the circumstances around you that are stopping you from being your full potential. I feel like for some of you, because of course this is a general reading, it's slightly different for everyone. For some of you, it could be that there are people in your life that have held you back because they themselves are envious or jealous or insecure and therefore don't want to see you succeed. For others, it could be maybe like the physical environment you were in didn't have a lot of resources to allow you to grow and advance yourself. And so all of this being like, I feel like you were raised in this hostile environment because you're meant to see just how far that you can grow. But you had to start off in this hostile environment to see how you did under pressure. You were not meant to have everything handed to you easily because you were meant to learn from these things. You were meant to overcome hardship because you were meant to learn from them. But you've gotten to this point where you've learned all that you can from a hostile environment. It's time for you to have nothing constricting you, nothing holding you back so that you can finally reach your full potential. But that being said, I don't think that previous area of your life, that previous environment, as harsh and as hostile as it was, I don't think that it was an overall bad thing. I think that there were things that definitely held you back, that you definitely felt were unfair, but it was all there for a purpose. You were meant to learn from it, and I think that you have learned a lot from it, and you're finally getting to this point in time where that cycle is about to end, and you are about to have no more restrictions on you. You're about to go from a hostile environment to a comfortable environment where you can explore and evolve and be who you want to be. And that comes with its own set of challenges, because I don't think that you've ever had that kind of supportive environment before. And on one hand, it's great because it allows you to kind of like catapult and grow at an exponential rate. But at the same time, even a hostile, constricting environment can sometimes feel secure. So it's like you're going to be going from a complete flip to hostile and closed off to comfortable and open. And each has its upside and each has its downsides. And I feel like there's this warning here to learn how to find a balance between the two of them. Don't let yourself go completely overboard. It's like an analogy I can think of is somebody that was raised with parents that, controlled everything they did, controlled the kind of TV they watched, the kind of food that they ate. And, the parents were trying to make sure that their child was like productive and efficient. But on the bad side, it didn't allow them to grow in the way that a child should. They didn't have the freedom to explore for themselves. So then that kid goes off to college, suddenly has all this freedom, and they start overeating all the sweet things that they never were allowed to have. They start partying like crazy and going out and staying late because that's what their parents never allowed them to do. But their life ends up going badly because they don't have that self-regulation. They were so excited to have no regulation that they go a complete 180 into the deep end. And so your warning here is when you do get this safety and this comfort, kind of have that balance to self-regulate and don't go too far off the deep end. I hope you know what I'm trying to say here. So starting off on the left side, we have determination and the Four of Pentacles. And this section is all about what are you meant to learn right now? And I think you are being when I say that you have this freedom here, it's like imagine you were only ever to explore one room and suddenly you have this entire state, like an entire state or an entire city to explore. You can be anything that you want to be. And right now you're learning how to not have this scarcity mindset. I feel like you were raised as this very like Four of Pentacles. You see this guy that's holding onto all these pentacles so tightly. He's so scared to let them go. He's even holding onto them with like his head. And now you're finally getting this moment where you're allowed to relax and go after whatever you want. You have the freedom to chase after whatever you want. And it's time for you to let go of this scarcity mindset. It's time for you to let go of this idea that you can only have 4 pentacles. Now you can have whatever you want. You can build whatever you want. And with determination here, you are meant to uncover and learn just how much that you can have out of this life. But like I said, there's this warning here where you need to have a balance, because yes, you're being given the freedom to pursue whatever you want, but you need to figure out like, okay, what's just fun and what is something that I actually care about and want to go after, something that, there's a difference between productivity till you die, but then like productivity to survive. You don't need to work yourself to the bone, but you still need to have goals and desires and ideas in mind. Like I said, with the idea of a college student finally having freedom for once, and then them suddenly going crazy, and then their life is like all over the place. You're going to have the ability to go after whatever you desire, but you're going to need to figure out what goal it is that you want. You're going to need to have a specific goal in mind about what you want to chase and go after. Like, focus. That's what I'm getting here, is you need to focus your vision of what you want, because you're being given this like 360-degree view, and for your whole life you've always been focused on like this one dot. But even though you have this ability to look wherever you want, you need to be able to discipline yourself to focus on a specific thing, even though now you have access to everything. Like, let yourself play around, let yourself have freedom and fun, but remember, at the end of the day, you still have to focus on a single goal or a single idea of what you want for your future. Don't get lost, or else you're not going to be able to accomplish anything. So I know that sounds scary, but it's like, I feel like you are going to be given a lot of freedom sometime soon, and it's good because it lets you explore and be free, but you still need to be able to discipline yourself, because there's no one around anymore who is going to do the disciplining for you. And the cards in the middle here that we have are Intuition and the Two of Wands reversed. And these cards are all about what should you be doing at this stage of life that will be in alignment with this purpose of yours. And so with Intuition and the Two of Wands reversed, you're meant to be using your intuition to figure out what you're truly passionate about. Because with the Two of Wands reversed, I feel like for a long time, like I said, you've been held back. You haven't really been able to explore your desires. And I feel like I keep coming back to this like analogy of like, you have this 360-degree view. Suddenly you can pursue anything that you desire, but you need to be able to tell the difference between what is a desire that is actually a productive goal, something that will sustain me long term, versus little distractions here and there that are like meaningless desires. Because suddenly you have the freedom to pursue anything that you could possibly want. But you need to have the discipline and focus to say, okay, which of these desires is actually something that is beneficial to me? Like with a college student, for example, you can pursue any major, any studies whatsoever, but let's say that there's this study all about like the science of partying or whatever. You might think like, oh, that's super cool. That's what I'm passionate about. But then over here on the other side of campus is like this desire that you had when you were a kid, but you were never allowed to pursue, and suddenly you have this passion for it again, but you're like, oh, but I kind of desire this like party science like class. And it's like, no, you need to have the discipline to know what is just a distraction and what is actually something that might be beneficial to you, beneficial to your goals. Excuse me. So what you're meant to be doing right now is honing your intuition, disciplining yourself, and having a clear focus of what you want your life to look like. Because a problem that you encounter when people are suddenly given all this freedom is they suddenly have lots of distractions. And it's okay to have fun here and there, but there is no one around to discipline you except yourself. And if you want to not fall off the wagon, not get super distracted, not fail, not, get lost in the sauce, you need to be able to have focus on what you want. And the only way to figure out what it is that you want is using your intuition, figuring out what it is that you desire, explore things around you, and really scrutinize different ideas of what you want your life to look like. Because I also get a sense that you guys, pile 2, don't quite know what you want your life to look like yet. And I think another thing that's making it extremely difficult is, on one hand, you had the childhood that was very hostile, very like condensed, like couldn't let you move around. So you weren't really able to explore what you wanted. And suddenly you have all this freedom to explore anything that you want, and it's too much at once. It's hard for you to discern. So you're really going to need to sit down and figure out what it is that you truly want. Because if you don't, nobody's going to do it for you. You're the only one that can do it. Because there's no one around to discipline you, no one around you to focus or force you to focus on one thing. You need to figure it out for yourself. Figure out what you value, what you want your life to look like, what kinds of things that you care about pursuing. And then you've got to set a goal. You're going to have to create a schedule for yourself. You're going to have to self-regulate yourself. You're going to have to discipline yourself. And that's a big thing that you're going to have to focus on here. I think that's why your general message is warning here, because there's no one around to warn you anymore. It is all on you. And the final cards here for what environment is going to be most beneficial to yourself. You have growth and the Ace of Swords reversed. And I feel like here with growth, obviously, you have a lot of growing to do. You have a lot of learning. And I'm imagining this tiny little sapling that's finally been planted, allowed to be free. You're taking in all these nutrients. But don't let yourself get too bogged down by things around you. Don't let yourself spread your energy too thin. I feel like with the Ace of Swords, you have all this curiosity, all these ideas, all these things that you want to latch onto, different experiences that you want to have. But like I said, there has to be a balance. There has to be self-regulation. You have to say okay, I have these days out of the week to explore what I want to explore, and these days out of the week to get shit done that I want to get done. You are going to have to balance if you want to grow. If you don't balance, and if you're I want this distraction, I want to do these fun things, I want to go out with my friends, I don't want to focus on school, you're not going to grow. You're going to stunt your own growth. And that's when people start to leave you behind, because eventually others will start to grow as well. And if you really do want to grow, you're going to need to decide for yourself what is the right thing to pursue. What is worthy of my time? What is worthy of my energy? What is going to get me to where I want to be 10 years from now? So, pile 2. I hope you enjoyed your reading. I hope this resonated, and I really hope it makes sense because, like I said, I feel very sick. Pile 3 is definitely going to have it in for themselves because, oof. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed your reading. If you enjoy what I do here and you want more from me, feel free to subscribe and stick around because I do post about twice a week, or just feel free to check out any of my other videos because I do have a ton more like this. And if you want a reading about your specific situation, feel free to check out my shop. There's a link down in the description box below. But that's everything that I have for you. Thank you so much for watching. Bye-bye. Alright, pile 3, last but certainly not least. If you chose this pile, then this is going to be the reading for you. Now, I do want to start off by saying that I am a little bit under the weather right now. That's not going to affect the accuracy of your reading, but I just want to let you know that if I need to slow down or take a break or whatever, that's why. So bear with me as I try to get through this. So basically the way that we're doing this is these cards over here are all about what is the general purpose of your current life stage. And then like I said in the beginning intro, if you were listening, these cards on the left are what are you meant to learn. In the middle here, we have what you should be doing right now. And on the right, we have what environment is going to be most beneficial to you. So starting off with what is the general purpose of your current life stage right now, you actually had 2 cards come out, and usually I only do 1, but the 2 cards that you had come out are physical pain and message of peace. And I feel like right now, this current stage in life is you letting go of all these preconceived notions, letting go of previous traumas, past pain, past hurt, because I think that you are meant to evolve and grow into a new version of yourself, and you're almost cleaning all the muck and trauma off of you that was left behind by childhood or people from your past who have cluttered your mind, cluttered your soul. And you're learning how to clean all that off and almost connect back to your inner child. Because I like to give this analogy of you imagine the child version of yourself was so free and so innocent, almost like pure white light. But then as you go through childhood, you have people talking down to you, people who bully you, people who hurt you, and you start to become guarded and you let go of vulnerability. You don't know how to have that carefree innocence anymore. But as you start to grow up into an adult, you're still guarded, but you want to learn how to unlearn that. You want to learn how to have that carefreeness from childhood again. You want to start doing the shadow work to unlearn all these past hurts, to work through childhood trauma. And I feel like that is the stage that you're going to be coming into, whether you've been consciously trying to or whether it's going to be coming to you. So you're going to be letting go of physical pain here and learning how to find peace within yourself. And I think that that is going to be kind of like the overarching meaning of this entire spiritual journey that you're meant to go through. And I see that reflected even more here in your other cards here, because what you're meant to learn here, we have comfort and the Six of Cups. And I think you've had a very hard time with vulnerability. This makes it extremely difficult to learn how to communicate with people, which makes it hard to communicate with or connect to people. I feel like when we really want connection with people, the thing that makes us feel loneliness, even when we're around them, is the inability to be completely open and honest and vulnerable with them. Because you can spend all day sitting next to people that you love, spending time with them, but if you didn't really connect to them, if you didn't really communicate openly and honestly and have them see you and you see them, you can leave that day feeling loneliness, like you didn't even interact with anyone. And what you're learning how to do is you're learning how to find people that you truly love and trust, how to connect to them honestly, openly, and how to not only get comfort from them, but give them comfort as well. And I feel like throughout this process with the Six of Cups, you're going to be healing your inner child. I almost see like with the Six of Cups here, if it'll focus. Let me focus that. You see this older child giving this cup to like this younger child, and it's almost like a learning moment or like a sweet moment between the two of them. And what I see is the older version of you now and the younger version of you then, and you're kind of healing the bond with them, healing who you are now and healing the past version of yourself, learning to accept comfort, to not feel guilty for wanting it, and so learn how to properly be vulnerable, because I think that that's not something that you were ever taught. You might have been taught to be closed off from emotions, don't show your emotions, don't cry, you don't need comfort, you know? But that's not true. You're supposed to be unlearning all them, because comfort is something that every human needs. Humans are social creatures, and it's even been proven that in other species, like baby animals prefer like a mother that will comfort them over a mother that like provides them with sustenance but doesn't provide them with comfort. And so whoever taught you that you don't need to be comforted, you don't need love, you don't need physical affection, is a complete lie, because it's not true. Like, it's been scientifically proven that you need comfort and love to survive. And for so long, I feel like you haven't gotten the comfort that you needed. And so you're learning how to accept it, how to not feel awkward about it, how to not feel guilty for wanting it, how to not feel weird about it, because I feel like for so long it's been this foreign thing where you're like, oh, I don't need that, I'm too cool for that. And it's like, no, you're learning how to accept it and how to ask for it, which I think is going to be a very big thing. And for what you should be doing right now in this current stage of your life, you have consciousness and the Four of Pentacles reversed. And a big thing that you're meant to be doing right now is unlearning all these preconceived notions about life in general, especially when it comes to, like I said, comfort and emotions. And I feel like you were raised with a set of ideas. Like, I'm imagining a dad telling like his sons, like, you're not allowed to cry, boys need to be tough. Not that you're a boy per se, but it's that kind of idea that I'm getting here. And you are going to be needing to do a lot of introspection to feel like, okay, those things that I were taught, do I really believe in those? Do I really want to carry those ideas into my life? If I'm going to have children, do I want to raise my children with those ideas? And you're going to be thinking, no, I don't. And with the Four of Pentacles reversed, you're letting go of those ideas. You're unlearning them and you're cleaning your slate clean. Like I said, like when you reach adulthood and you have to unlearn all these things so that you can connect back to that carefreeness and that childhood innocence that was lost. You're going to be unlearning a lot of these things. So being able to just spend time to yourself, do a lot of introspection, meditation on these ideas. If something triggers you or hurts you, being able to spend the time to journal or think about it or talk to somebody that you trust about it and unlearn these kind of patterns of behavior that have been ingrained into you. Unlearn the way that you behave and act when certain things happen that hurt you. And regarding what environment will be most beneficial to you fulfilling this purpose, you have rest and the Queen of Cups, which I think is just re-emphasizing what I previously said. So off the bat, the thing that I think is best for you is rest. I feel like I get this vibe that you were raised in a hostile, or at least emotionally hostile environment. You weren't really allowed to express your feelings positively. Everything was really held back. I'm imagining okay, so earlier I was talking about how scientists proved that other species prefer to have a mother who is comforting rather than one that's not comforting, even if it gives them sustenance. And so that study was the difference between a baby monkey was raised with a mother monkey made out of cloth. It was really soft and stuff, but that baby monkey didn't have any milk. It wasn't given any sustenance. Versus if it was with this metal, uncomfortable mom, even if it was given sustenance, it would rather leave the sustenance behind to be with the comforting mom. And I feel like for you, you were raised with the metal mom. You were given sustenance, you were given what you needed to survive, but you were so uncomfortable, you didn't have any comfort. And I feel like that damaged you. It damaged the way that you internalize your emotions. It damaged the way that you process things that happen to you, the way that you process things that hurt you. And you were never given a moment to rest and process these things properly, to ask yourself how you feel about them, to ask yourself what you want. You were never able to ask for comfort. You were never even given comfort. And this is a huge thing that you're meant to be unlearning right now, that you're meant to be allowing yourself to ask for. Because this is a really deep wound that I see for you. Maybe you've brushed off, you've built up this hard shell where you're no, it doesn't affect me. But the truth is, this is a very deep wound, and you're going to feel such loss and hurt for yourself when you think about the younger version of you that wasn't given comfort. You're going to be mad. You're going to be upset and in pain and asking, how could you treat a child like that? But it's these kinds of feelings coming up that are going to make you question the thought behaviors that you still hold from then, because they were passed down to you, and you're going to have to unlearn them. You're going to have to unlearn the idea that comfort is weakness or expressing emotions is weakness. You're going to have to unlearn that thought. You're going to have to unlearn certain behaviors of pushing people away, because that's not who you want to be. You are a human being. You are a living, breathing animal that deserves comfort, that needs it to survive. And you've been trained to believe otherwise, and you're unlearning that right now. That is the entire purpose, I feel of this current stage in life. And honestly, I feel you are learning this because you are preparing to have beautiful relationships coming into your life. Whether it's a romantic relationship, or whether it's friendships, or maybe you want to be a parent. You are meant to unlearn all these things so that you can have those relationships, so that you can be with those people. You can enjoy their love and their comfort and their presence without having this hostility, without having this inner voice inside you that's telling you that's wrong or you shouldn't have that. Because the version of you that wants to have these relationships, that wants to raise a child or feel loved, needs to be able to accept comfort and give comfort. And that's why you're unlearning this right now, so that you can make space to have these relationships. Because I see that you're destined to have them. And with Message of Peace, it's you need to let go of this pain, pull the knife out of your heart so that you can have this peace. And then that's when those relationships can come in. That's when you will be ready to have these relationships. Or if you have these relationships, it'll be a way that you can repair them if they've been hurt. Or if something has been damaged in them, you're going to learn how to communicate to rebuild these relationships on a stronger foundation so that you can connect more deeply to these people and connect more closely to them. And like I said, the best environment for you right now to do this introspection, to do this unlearning and learning new behaviors is rest. Give yourself time to yourself, especially if you're triggered or hurt by something. Giving yourself the space to comfort yourself and say, it's okay that I'm feeling this way. What can I do to help myself through these feelings? What can I do to make sure that I don't have these feelings again? Giving yourself that kind of space to take care of yourself is going to be so important. And with the Queen of Cups, I see you're learning how to deal with these emotions. The Queen of Cups is a master of her element. She's a master of emotion, and you're learning how to become that. And the best way that you can is by giving yourself the space to do so. So, pile 3. I hope that made sense to you. I hope that this resonated with you and that it helps whatever you're going through. I see a beautiful future coming for you, but I see that this section of your life that you're in right now, you're going to be doing a lot of learning, and I think that there's going to be a lot of tears. And I want you to know that, well, I have one more thing to say. I want you to know that there is nothing wrong with crying. There's nothing wrong with showing your emotion. And I don't just mean like in a be positive kind of way. I mean like in a literal scientific sense. When you cry, you are releasing cortisol, which is like the stress hormone. And if you don't cry, if you stop yourself from crying, you're just keeping the stress inside of you. So next time you cry, instead of just being like, oh God, I shouldn't be crying, just imagine like, okay, I'm allowing the stress hormone to leak out of my eyeballs. It's okay. Like, this is a cathartic release that needs to happen. It's scientifically beneficial to your body. You're letting go of stress that is inside your body. So there's nothing wrong with it. Allow yourself to cry. So that's my last kind of like thing for you. If you do deal with those moments where you think that you should be holding tears in, it's like trying to stop yourself from sweating. It's like your body needs to cool down. Let it cool down. So that is everything that I have for you. If you enjoyed this reading, let me know down below. Leave a comment if this really resonated with you, or just give it a thumbs up. It lets me know that what I'm doing actually does reach people, does help people. And if you want more from me, feel free to subscribe and stick around because I do post about twice a week. Or just check out any of my other videos because I do a lot more just like this one. I really enjoy these kinds of beneficial readings that people enjoy. And if you need a reading about your specific personal situation, there's a link down in the description box below to my shop. But that's everything that I have for you. Thank you so much for watching. Bye-bye.